is a special day for everyone. It is time to Peach Chris Chainsaw Man.
Bum, 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 bum.
Y'all know the criteria. Let's hop right into it with the plot.
Turn off with the plot. Out of 25, we're starting strong.
Starting how strong?
Nearly perfect, but we'll get there. It starts out really good. You get a good feeling for like the tone of the show. It takes itself like pretty seriously at times, and it needs to be serious, but also like it has a lot of really funny jokes. I don't usually laugh at animes. A lot of them, when they try to be funny, they're just cringy. But this one, it succeeded at what it was trying to do, and it was pretty funny. So did that well. And then the plot itself moves along perfectly. Like the pacing's great, the story is great. Denji's motivation is hilarious, and then every other character's motivations are like just horribly depressing. And so like it balances so funny with Denji and Powers because they have like the dumbest reasons to be doing what they're doing.
Of course, they're not like the others.
They're not humans. They're fiends, and I think Denji has like I think the show will continue to get better, so I left it a little room to improve. Not much room. So I gave it a 24 out of 25.
That's fair. Now, I agree with you. The plot is pretty near fantastic. I enjoyed every detail of Denji and what he wanted to do throughout the show. I liked how his goals gradually become more mature as he realizes what he wants in life. Because he grows up from nothing to something, and now he's kind of realizing what all is good and what all is really good and what all was terrible. I gave plot a 23. I believe the plot was just really good. I can't wait to see season 2 when it comes out to really build up upon it. Let's move on to our next category,
which is characters.
I'll start this off. Strong characters all around. There were times where some of the characters from Class 4 with all the demon hunters and all the characters in the Class 4 are very likable. They had their questionable moments at times, but in the end they all kind of grew to be very likable. And I can't go without saying the power dynamic between Power and Denji is some of my favorite.
Definitely missed those two on top 10
Top
duos.
10 duos, definitely missed those two. By the way, you should watch that as well on our Totally Serious Conversations. They bring so much life into the room when they're together.
Because this show's pretty depressing.
It is.
Crap's going down.
Everybody
is like
hurt. Everyone is just depressed. And then when these two walk into the room, you just forget that everything is so sad. Well, I give characters a 15, of course. 15 out of 15.
I agree with you about like how good the characters are. Like they're incredible. Every character, even like the ones that like start out not likable, the show wants it like that. They do like these stupid things to make you angry. They're all pretty well fleshed out characters, and so they all come around and they have their moments. I just agree with you. Like there's, especially with Power and Denji, they have a great dynamic going on. It's so funny whenever like you expect them to say something serious and then they just say like the most out of pocket thing, which typically makes me angry in shows when like they have like a horrible tonal issue. But this show does a great job at like grounding the tone and making like the goofy moments not feel out of place because of how goofy some of the characters are. Like they feel like they belong in this world. And I think it's because of how well they bounce off of other characters, like Aki, who is my favorite character in the show. He does a good job at just being like this stoic man that like, he has such great motivation, and then you pair that to like Denji, who has stupid motivation, but it's funny. And like, I don't know, they bounce off each other well.
I have a hard time picking my favorite character. It's definitely between Power or Denji. I kind of put them in the same because they're just such an iconic duo together, and they're even on their own, they're both just very lovable characters to watch.
Yeah, no, there was nobody I didn't like in this show. Like Every character had a great role to play.
And that's tough. That's really tough.
It's hard to
shows.
do.
There's always at least that one person you didn't like.
Yeah, there was like one character that me and you both kind of were like, or there was two actually that we were both.
We were
like,
iffy about two characters.
And then one of them has like this incredible redeeming moment, and then the other one also has a pretty great redeeming moment. And they also both have some pretty funny lines and stuff. I give characters a 15 out of 15.
Sick. Boom.
Next up, originality. We're thinking of changing the Peach Crisp scale and getting rid of originality
Yeah.
because it doesn't have to be original for it to be a masterpiece. So that's all I'm going to say on it. We're workshopping ideas. If you have any ideas for us, what we could change it to, let
Comment
us know.
down below.
It does everything in like its own original way. I've never seen this type of character motivation in the show from the main characters. I mean, like, yeah, there's like some stuff like, oh, Aki wants to avenge somebody and all this, but like it's done in its own original way. I really like seeing like all the characters that have like different powers from devils, like the Chainsaw Devil, the
Blood
Katana Devil, the Blood Devil, the etc. 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 They're all cool things, and like they have like their own like bonding.
When they form a contract,
Yeah, it's a contract. They have to like give up something to get these powers.
devils seem very indifferent from
Yeah, they don't
whether they help you or not, as long as they get something in return. They're very greedy.
So I gave originality a 5.
I can also back this up. I enjoyed every original point that Chainsaw Man had, basically down to its core. I haven't seen an anime quite like it. And so that brings my originality up to a 5 as well.
But that brings us to enjoyment.
Whew. The enjoyment was incredible. There was never a moment where I wasn't leaning off the edge of my seat, just waiting for the next scene to happen. And I was just so happy the whole time. Just seeing Denji go crazy on people once he goes Chainsaw Man on them. And just seeing Power, the way she acts, and just seeing how all the characters react with each other, and just...
Can I take a guess at what you gave it?
I guess you can.
25.
Pretty solid
Oh,
assessment. Yep, 25. Perfect score for enjoyment, but it's really worth the watch.
You kind of touched on stuff I want to talk about, but there is one thing I wanted to mention. Kickback, the opening of this show, is incredible.
I listen to it all the time.
I don't stop listening. But then on top of that, this show did something I've never seen in an anime. It might not be like totally new, but every episode had its own outro song, and they all slap. Like,
Yes.
a part of the enjoyment for me was every week I was like, at the end of the episode, I whip my phone out and open up Shazam, and I'm like, what's next? Let me add this to my playlist.
But there was never a miss.
There definitely wasn't a miss. There was one, episode 3, this might be a little controversial. I loved it. It's like the most insane
It's very
song
controversial
I've ever heard.
because it's tough.
It's just random noises for the first half, and then like
it goes hard in the second half.
the second half goes so hard.
As soon as it goes to the second half, I'm by them. But like
the first half is just so fun. It's so stupid, and it really matches the show.
it's kind of like
and they
it's
do
kinda
the,
like
they do
putting-
the cone thing, and I love cone.
it's
sick.
kind of like putting screws and nails in a blender and just watching it happen.
That's literally what it sounds like. But I love it. But the best, if I had to like do a little mini ranking, which I'm not going to do because I don't remember all of them. But number 1 of the outros is easily Time Left, which is the second episode. The riff at the beginning on the electric guitar
It's so good.
is
the riff.
gorgeous. I love
Wonderful.
it. I go back, like every time I listen to that song, I like skip back and listen to it like 3 or 4 times. It's just so good. Enough about the music. Enjoyment. I was so excited about the music, but I was more excited about the show. Like, it was so hard. Like, there were a couple weeks where we had to wait until Wednesday.
Oh, it was so
And
hard to wait.
It came out on Tuesdays, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. I just want to watch this show. Even the episodes that aren't like action-packed are still just as fun to watch.
It doesn't need to be action.
Which, like, action isn't like, I don't need the show to be action-packed for me to like it.
This show has definitely a perfect balance
Yeah.
of the two.
One of the later episodes didn't have much action in it, and I didn't even notice.
Okay.
Like, the whole thing, I was like, the episode ended, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You mean I have to go another week before I get more of what I just watched? Oh my goodness. It was so hard waiting, but that made it so much
Made it
better
10
when
times
Tuesday
better.
rolled around. I was like, yes, it's Chainsaw Man Day. Like pretty much every Tuesday when we
Every
saw each other the
Tuesday
first
we
time, we
woke
were
up.
like, you know what day it is? It's Tuesday.
Chainsaw Man.
Day.
Like
You
that.
can take a guess. Carry the one.
25.
Oh, you did it!
Let's go!
Next category, animation. Y'all know me. I like animation. I like pretty animation. This show was so close to perfectly animated. Like it wasn't like this like cool like new style. It has its like it's really good. It's fluid and all that.
Never really a choppy moment, but in the first episode, don't mean to interrupt you, but the first episode I had my doubts. And there was 3D animation, which is...
The 3D animation, I don't like 3D animation.
It's very hard to
This is the best
watch.
I've ever seen it.
Yes,
This is the best 3D.
This Chainsaw Man really does define 3D animation. It almost makes me like not really look forward to seeing the 3D models, but it's not a pain to look at like in some animes.
Yeah, like at the same time, I had to take off a point because like I wish it wasn't 3D animated. But in any other show, if the 3D animation was bad, this would get a 3 out of 5. But I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 because the 3D animation
Didn't look bad at all.
it was good for 3D animation. It's just like I much prefer non 3D animated stuff.
For the interest of time, I don't really feel like sitting here and repeating what Caleb said. I'm in agreement with him. I gave it 4 out of 5 because I'm just not a big fan of the 3D animation. Not to say that it was bad. It worked well with Chainsaw Man. Voice acting, and I'll start us off with voice
Please do.
acting. Voice acting, each character fit their role so well. I mean, not to copy myself from Puss in Boots, but every character sounded so lively, and just the way that I'm gonna take a hint from Denji. Every time Denji turned into Chainsaw Man, it was so chaotic every time he spoke.
Mhm.
Like, he's got a very long tongue when he's Chainsaw Man, and he laughs, and you can almost hear his tongue out of his mouth. The voice actor did so well capturing the chaotic, lively energy of Denji, and it made him so much more fun to watch because you're just on the edge of your seat. Not only to hear what he has to say, but you have to listen what he says. It is hilarious.
He says
most of the stuff is so some of the stuff is out of pocket. Some of it is stupid, but it's stupid fun. Voice acting was great. I loved Power's voice actor because her voice actor, I saw it from an Instagram reel. She shares the same voice as one of my other favorite animes, Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. She's Toru, and it's really good.
What'd you give it?
I gave a 5 out of 5. Don't tell me. Whoa.
Voice acting, I'm not gonna like just go on forever because Colton talked about a bunch of stuff. I do want to mention 3 more characters though that I loved, which was Aki Hasume, I think was her name.
Yeah.
And then Makima. Like they all do a perfect job in their respective roles. Also, I meant to talk about this in animation. The characters' eyes all look so cool, especially Makima's.
Makima's eyes are incredible.
I gave it a 5 out of 5, which puts us, we're on the last lap here, last leg of the race. Attachment. I'm not going to linger on this one for too long. Show did its job. I cared a lot about the characters. Oof, I definitely could have cried if I was in a sadder mood of not being so excited to watch this show. I would have cried. But there were some in this season that I was just kind of like, oh well. So I gave it a 9.
That's fair.
Not much to
Perfectly
say.
fair. I agree with Caleb. Big shocker. We think very highly. We've had very similar thoughts about this, but all the characters did their jobs. I felt very strongly towards some, felt strongly against others. In the end, most of them did their job and made me feel a lot better. So I give Attachment a 9 out of 10. To end it off, we have the finale, and the finale was really good. It wasn't totally insane, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they ended it off on that type of ending, which I was kind of looking forward to. They hint at a new character towards the end, that makes me really looking forward to the next season. But everything kind of went to a standstill. They captured their big bad, even though the bigger bad is still on the loose. So we're going into the next season kind of on the same track as we were on the first one, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I kind of want to look forward to something more. So I gave finale an 8 out of 10.
That's understandable, but I think the main goal of this season was introducing characters and giving Power and Dingy exponential growth, because that's kind of the whole point of the last little arc of the season, and they get their crazy growth, and there's a lot of characters, a lot of character growth, a lot of character depth, a lot of great scenes, and then the finale was no exception to that. I really like the finale. Introduces you to a lot of characters.
Yes.
I mean, I don't remember if some of them might have been in episode 11, but in episode 12 we see a lot of other fiends that like might be showing back up again. I'm not sure. I'm excited to see where this goes, and this wasn't like, the best episode of the show in my opinion. It had great fight scenes. It had like incredible character moments. We see like, and then it ends off in like, they beat the bad guys. Oh, spoiler alert! They win. But then there's like a couple like little cliffhangers for season 2, and I thought that they did a great job setting it up. So I gave it a 9 out of 10, which brings my score to a 96. It's like Puss in Boots.
Really?
The Last Wish.
And that brings my score to a 94, a little higher than Puss in Boots, The Last Wish.
If you don't get what we're talking about, go watch the Puss in Boots, The Last Wish review.
Thank you all for watching today's video. We hope to see you again. Comment down below if you have any suggestions on what you might want Peach Crisp. We might either love you for it or hate you for it, so don't do something stupid.
Don't be angry if we get mad at you.
Yeah, I mean, if your favorite show gets dogged on, that's your fault.
You shouldn't have recommended it if you like it.
But you should still recommend it.
Yeah, recommend it. But if you watch Chainsaw Man, plug it into the formula. Let us know what you gave it. I'm Peach.
And I'm C-Man66.
And we're Peach C-Man 66.